realize you were in the middle of that.
I just needed to warm up my voice, dog.
Jesus Christ. Do re mi.
No do re mi, just that block of sound that is my voice.
Jesus Christ. On that note.
I'm a professional.
We are absolutely professionals in this studio that is definitely not our mudroom in our house.
It's more than a mudroom. It's a mud home.
I work hard to make this mud house a home. Anyway, welcome to the Dress Up Disasters podcast for officially episode 8, where we are going to be talking about Halloween. And more importantly, a cosplayer's guide to Halloween, because it's so easy for people who may not cosplay all the time to be roped into buying costumes at a higher price that are lower quality, and also just doing things for costumes that's just unsafe.
Yeah.
Too, people love using denture glue for their fangs and shit like that. And we're here to be like, hey, here's some safe alternatives you could do instead.
Exactly.
So if you have any normie friends who are doing things that are questionable for their Halloween costumes, feel free to send them this episode.
Indeed.
But before we get to that, we have a couple little announcements I want to get to at the start. One being KumoriCon. Woo! KumoriCon's happening down in Portland in a couple weeks for the 8th, 9th, and 10th of November, and we are going to be there.
Yeah.
We have 2 panels lined up. Both of them are the Friday morning and Friday evening, which unfortunately, because they don't have the schedule out yet, we can't actually say what time or where exactly they are, so keep an eye out for that on our socials, specifically the Circus Productions Instagram page, where we will be updating that as soon as we know we can give all that information out to the public. The first one in the morning is going to be a lot like the one we did for Anime Revolution, where we're talking about more cosplay horror stories. However, if you were at Anime Revolution, or you listened to that episode, they are going to be different stories, so it's still a worthwhile watch for some fun laughs, horrendous cringe, and just the general, oh my god, dear god, please no. And in the evening, we're doing something new, which is a fanfiction game show, where that's exactly what it sounds. It's going to be a Jeopardy-style game where we're going to be testing the audience's knowledge about AO3.
Very fun. I'm very excited for that one. Last year we did a fanfiction roast. This year we got to do the fanfiction game show. I'm super excited. I love fanfiction themed panels. They're so much fun, and I'm very excited for this one.
I've been working very hard to make these questions real stumpers, so that even the most degenerate of people don't.
Well, even some of them I didn't know, or I couldn't answer all the way. So, like, some of them are going to be really hard.
I've been doing research for months for these questions, so we'll see how it goes and see if anyone actually gets them right.
Yep.
So that one, however, is an 18-plus panel, because sometimes fanfiction people be rowdy.
Yep.
But the cosplay horror stories this time will be all ages.
Yeah, so
we're going to be keeping it
PG for the children.
No flashing stories and all that fun stuff.
Aw, man.
But without further ado, let's get into the topic of today, which is, as I said, Halloween and a cosplay's guide to Halloween. And we're starting off with, I think, some history about the holiday.
So I thought it would be fun to give a brief history about Halloween, because a lot of people think that it is just this silly little American holiday, and they don't know a lot of the history behind it, and I think it's really interesting. As somebody who has, like, my ancestry is Irish, not that I'm one of those white people that are like, I'm Irish because I'm 2/4 Irish on my dad's side, but I can trace my lineage all the way back to Ireland. So, let's talk about Samhain, which is what the name of Halloween is in Gaelic. So, Halloween started over 2,000 years ago on a small little island in the North Atlantic, a little place called Ireland. Back then, it was a pagan holiday. It is said that Halloween night is when the veil between the living world and the dead is the thinnest. So spirits can pass over into our world for one night a year. People would dress up as ghouls, ghosts, scary things, so that way they would not be taken by the spirits back into the land of the dead, and that's why we dress up. The original name was Samhain, which is Samhain, and you don't pronounce it like it's written in like English
Sam
lettering.
Hain?
Yeah, it looks like Sam Hain, but it's Samhain. And then it was known in English as All Hallows Eve, which eventually got shrunk down into what we call it today, Halloween. So yeah, that's where the tradition of dressing up as scary things first came into being, and I think it's really interesting. Anyways, that's the history of Halloween.
Yay! Yay! Love a little bit of a history nugget.
I absolutely love a history nugget.
Anyways, so I think we're gonna start off with just generally how to spot decent costume shops. And avoiding things that are ill-fitting and overpriced. A lot of those being like the stereotypical costume in a bag you can find at places like Spirit Halloween and other pop-up costume shops. Because there is no reason that those costumes in a bag of screen-printed polyester needs to be $90.
Absolutely.
Canadian or American or whatever currency, there is no need for them to be that expensive.
Yeah.
Especially when you wear them once.
And they're falling off your body before the end of the night.
And they're disintegrating. And not in, like, the kinky fun way, where that's what you want out of the costume. But, like, you actually want to keep things, bits covered and concealed.
Yep.
One thing I like to look for, especially when I'm looking at costumes online, and less so, even in stores, this one works definitely, because you can definitely see through those cheap plastic PVC bags, to look at the fabric texture.
Yep.
If you cannot see the texture of the fabric in either the photos or while it's in your hands through the bag, it's probably going to be cheap polyester.
Yep.
Typical decent fabrics that don't disintegrate the second they touch skin oil have a little bit of texture or grain. The cheap kind of springy costume material
that looks essentially like foam almost.
Yeah, that if you can't see texture, you put it down. Put it down. If you want something goofy looking, then by all means go for the cheap polyester, because sometimes that works.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it works, but 9 times out of 10, your Homelander costume in screen printed polyester,
it's not gonna look as
it's not
flash.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to do something super elaborate or like you don't care if it looks good, it's just a waste of money.
Also, if you're able to, with especially costumes in store, if you can look at the seams, a lot of the really, really cheap costumes are put together using only an overlock machine or a serger, and so those seams aren't going to be as strong as, say, something that's like sewn together and then serged together, and then the edges serged. Or like sometimes those overlock machines can be a really loose machine, and the thread can be like really, really, really cheap polyester thread.
Or really old.
And so those costumes are going to be more likely to just completely shred at the seams. Because if you add really cheap polyester, really cheaply done, serged together pieces, it's a recipe for disaster.
And another thing I like to do, especially when shopping online, on costume websites, because there are so many costume websites nowadays for cosplay and Halloween costumes.
I can't even
alike.
Name them all now.
Yeah,
I used to be able to name them all.
There's so many now. It's actually insane, and a lot of them it's hard to tell if you're actually going to perceive them what you're looking at. I like to reverse image search the listing sometimes.
Yeah.
But also a clear giveaway is if the photos on the website for the listings don't match stylistically. A lot of these websites will pop up and they'll look at cosplayers and they'll be like, oh, we have a version of that. We sell a Scarlet Witch costume. Let me steal a Scarlet Witch cosplayer's photo and post it on our website so people will buy it, thinking that's what they're getting when they're getting a cheap polyester costume in a bag.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. And so you can usually tell between, like, the costume on a model or on the cosplayer versus it just being on like a dress form. And if you see major discrepancies between it being on the model or the cosplayer and then on just the dress form, do not buy that costume. You are going to get a piece of shit.
Yeah, and I know there are some cosplay websites where it's hard to tell. Like on Doki Doki, a lot of their photos look like they could just be cosplay photos that they steal or whatever.
They do really professional shoots for them.
But they all match.
Yep.
Like all of the photos, even though they look like they are taken from like cosplayers and stuff, they all look like they're from similar or the same sets. And they're also the same models for a lot of them.
Yeah.
If nothing is matching up, let your red flags go up.
Yeah.
The little alarm bells in the back of your brain.
And always check reviews. And if you're buying from a site that you don't know very well or you don't know very many people who've bought from that site and there are 0 reviews on the costume, don't do it. Unless you want to be the one person that has and then you leave that review going, aha, this is a piece of shit, don't buy it.
YouTube is also great for reviews and stuff too, because cosplayers also see this and they go, there's no way that Captain America costume is $50. So they buy it and then they try it and they're like, it's not worth it. It's definitely $50.
So a thing you can do, jumping off of that, is go to YouTube, search the character name that you want. Let's say you want a really nice Xiangling cosplay from Genshin Impact. You can search up Xiangling cosplay review. And then it'll show you, 50 videos of people who reviewed the costume before at varying price points, varying shops, varying quality, and then you get to choose what you want, and then you get to see it on a person. You get to see what it looks like when it fresh comes out that bag. Because the photos you're going to see online, like on the website themselves, they're going to have that pressed real nice. They're going to have that looking...
Tailored if they need to.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have it tailored. They're going to have it pinned in place so that way it looks as nice as it possibly can on the model. But what you're going to get when you watch someone's review of it, you're going to get it straight out the bag. You're going to know exactly what it's going to look like a bit better.
Because it isn't super common for cosplay companies to reach out to cosplayers to have them review their stuff. Like
occasionally they do.
Like sometimes, but it's not common enough where like a lot of the reviews could be swayed because of that. Like you see a lot in like the makeup community online.
Even then, a lot of the cosplayers that I know that have had sponsored, I got this costume from a site, are usually a bit more... what's the word I'm searching for? Transparent, yeah. That it is good or not.
Yeah, and something too with getting the information from YouTube videos and stuff like that, a lot of those content creators also put a link to the exact listing they bought in the description. So you're not looking it up thinking you're buying something that you saw in a review, but it's from a different site with a very similar name that's a completely different quality, and then you're like, what the frick? Random cosplayer online, you lied to me.
Yeah, a lot of them will either have a direct link in their in the description of the video, or so a lot of times they'll show screenshots of where they bought it and things like that. So it makes it that's actually one of my favorite places to look and a way to find out exactly what you're getting.
I also like Facebook groups too. Consulting different costuming Facebook groups, being like, hey, has anyone bought from this place before? Pros and cons, please. Because there have been many a cosplay site that I have been warned to stay away from on those sites. Like the lovely Easy Cosplay.
Oh, please don't buy from them.
Please don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I have a personal horror story.
I also
about
have a personal horror story with Easy Cosplay. It is not worth it.
No.
They look like they have a good size range. And
they also say that they will tailor things specifically to your size. That is a lie.
So I have seen that sometimes they do it. But I have heard so many horror stories of it going wrong or them not doing it or whatever that it's just not worth the extra, like, $20 or whatever they charge for the tailoring fee. Like, one time I got my Sophie Hatter dress, actually, is from Easy Cosplay. Now, if you look at the photos of my Sophie Hatter dress and you look at photos from Easy Cosplay's Sophie Hatter dress, they do not look the same.
Isn't it, like, a completely different color?
They don't. I don't know if they actually sell the version I have anymore. But I had to do so many alterations to that thing.
Yep.
It came like 2 sizes too big,
which is a wild thing.
Which is wild because I already max out most cosplay sites in terms of sizing. So I was like, hey, this is pretty nice. I never get things that are too big for me, so I'm like happily taking it in. The lace, completely redid all the lace because all the lace detailing was just plain white polyester fabric in strips. And I'm like, this is not working. Full button replacement because they were like the cheap plastic buttons. Often they're like the plastic buttons you often find on teddy bears for the eyes, for the rounded black ones.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was like those buttons for the neck. And I had some nice vintage looking like brass buttons that I replaced them with. And then 6 months later, after I had posted photos of this very heavily altered costume, that actually, I made myself a waistline and took in the shoulders and the sleeves and the hem and everything. It was really unrecognizable as their dress. They had the audacity to email me on their official account, or DM me on Instagram, not email me, being like, hey, like, you haven't bought from us in a while. Could you do that, please? And I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, well, we'll give you this discount. Like a 20% discount or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I don't super love the quality of your stuff, and it took me forever to alter this thing I got for Halloween. And they're like, okay, 30%. And I'm like, no, 40%? And I ghosted them. And a week later, they're like, so sad you can't reply to us anymore.
Oh my god.
Trying to guilt trip me into buying things with their stupid discount code. And I'm like, no, fuck this shit.
Give me a 90% off.
Give me
100% off and you pay shipping.
Yeah, and free shipping. Then maybe I'll consider it.
Yeah.
But I have so many friends who've been fighting with their customer service with various things.
My little horror story for mine was I bought the white and gold jean gray like Phoenix bodysuit. And I knew with it being a bodysuit, I wanted it to fit nicely. So I spent the extra $20 or $25 or whatever it was to get it tailored to my size. And my boyfriend bought this for me as a birthday present, as an early birthday present. And when it arrived, so he spent, back in like 2019, he spent $105 before shipping on this bodysuit. Canadian.
Okay. So that's about $75 for you Yankees.
And so, like, that's like, in today's money, that'd be almost like $150. Like, it was not cheap. And it arrived, and the iron-on decal on the front was already starting to peel off.
And it's not a bodysuit, too, so the second you put that on, it's just going to pop right off.
Yeah. And the, like, metal pin that was supposed to keep, like, the sash was held together by this, like, metal pin, and when you stabbed through the fabric of the sash, it, like, started kind of pulling the lines of the gold fabric, because gold fabric, unless it's a higher quality, it's usually just like printed on to like a yellow fabric, and that's specifically what this gold was. And so if you stabbed it, it would like
peel the gold
off, and it would like leave like a hole. And then we get to me actually putting this suit on. It was so tight that when I did a review of the suit for TikTok, it got taken down because it was well, okay, you know what? We have this set to explicit. I had such rank camel toe, it got taken down for nudity.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's custom sizing there, folks.
Yeah, that's some custom sizing, all right. Also, it was so tight, like with the zipper and everything, that it was choking me, and I could not sit. Like, I could not sit because, like, it would pull so much on the back that it would, and it was like a high collar, so it would just choke me. And then I paid the extra to have the zippers, because, like, there wasn't, like, gloves on top of the suit. It was just, like, it was all one piece. And so I paid the extra to have invisible zippers on the arms, on the forearms, so that way I could, like, take the glove off.
A lot of Spider-Man cosplays have that.
Yeah. The suit was so tight that if I unzipped it, I couldn't get my hand out. So they were there, and they were completely useless to me.
They were functional, at least.
Yeah, like
sort of.
Yeah, they at least did that. So that's my horror story with easy cosplay. So, like, don't do it. Don't do it, folks.
My personal favorite sites to get costumes from, Doki Doki, which can be a little hit or miss, but typically, they are more hits than misses.
Uwowo.
I have beef with Uwowo.
That's fair.
Because I got a costume to their size chart, to my measurements, and it's so small. Yeah. And also half of it's just sewn inside out.
Yeah.
And the other costume I got from them fit okay.
My Beto costume is from them, and I had to do a lot of alterations to make it more accurate to the costume.
Yeah, so
but it wasn't too
if you're
bad.
okay with altering stuff, then Uwowo is decent, especially for the price, because they are lower in price than Doki Doki.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do any kind of alteration, Doki Doki out of the two is definitely the way to go. They just have a little bit less selection than Uwowo does, because I think Doki Doki is still kind of on their Genshin Impact Honkai Star Rail chain right now, while the other cosplay sites are slowly moving away from it, which fucking finally.
You can actually find other things now.
And another site that actually has been surprising me a lot lately is McCostumes.
McCostumes, I've always been a champion of McCostumes.
Yeah, because, like, their sizing never used to be great. Their fabric choices were kind of like, it works. But they've actually kind of been upping their game recently. They've been adding more.
They have, like, a whole plus-size section now, which is really nice.
They've been adding more plus-size versions of things. They've been adding... they have the largest selection out of the three, I think. They have a lot of cute little alternate designs for stuff, too.
Yeah, and their prices are really good, all things considered. Even their wigs aren't that terrible.
Yep. My Zelda from Breath of the Wild, both of them, are fully McCostumes, including the wig.
My not Breath of the Wild, my the princess one.
Twilight Princess?
Twilight Princess, there we go.
Fan.
No, I was thinking of it, my brain was just like, no, grabbing the word, okay? I have dyslexia. That's ableist, I'm joking. No, my Twilight Princess Link is from them, and then also my Edward Elric is from them, and I really like my Edward Elric. I've had that thing for like 4 years now. Both of those costumes I've had for 4 years, and they're still going strong.
Their shipping is also really fast, too.
Yeah. Oh, my Dark Link is also from them.
Yeah, because my Breath of the Wild, the white dress version, I got that in like a week. And the Breath of the Wild, like the pants and blue shirt version, I got that also in roughly a week. I was really surprised how fast that one came.
Which, considering the 7 months that it took Doki Doki to get my Wei Wuxian cosplay to me, I like that time difference in the shipping.
And the 10 months it took Uwowo to get me the Lucy cosplay that didn't fit!
Every single time that I've bought a costume from Doki Doki, it has taken several months, except for Xiao. Xiao, I bought it when it was, like, in stock and on sale, like, hella on sale, and so that arrived in, like, 3 weeks. Albedo took 2.5 months. Wei Wuxian took 7 months. I've bought a couple other costumes from them, but I can't remember what they are right now, because most of my Genshin cosplays I've made. I didn't buy them.
Show off.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, the longest I've waited for Doki Doki is about a month.
Yeah, no, the longest I ever waited for something was 7 months. I know Sky, for their child costume, waited 9 months. Or it was 8 months.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I also am very careful about not buying things on pre-order, because it can take so fucking long.
Well, when I put in the order for Wei Wuxian, it wasn't on pre-order, and then they updated me like 2 weeks later going, this is actually on pre-order, so you're gonna get it in like 4 months, and then it took 7. Well, at that point, I literally didn't even think I was getting the costume anymore.
Well, that's what happened with Lucy from Owowu, because I bought her in almost October for a shoot in January. Did not get it in January. Then I was like, hey, like, why is this taking so long? It said it was in stock. Apparently the wig was on pre-order, so they held the entire order instead of just sending me the 2 parts. Then I was like, okay, well then maybe I could bring it to Fan Expo in February. Did not come. Okay, well then maybe I could bring it to, like, Emerald City. Did not come. SoccerCon? Did not come. I didn't get it until I think, what, July, August?
I think it was July.
Yeah. Almost, like...
Or June, maybe? June, July?
Either way. I ordered it in October.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't on pre-order. And the bottoms came half sewn inside out. Which, that was the biggest confusion.
That was, yeah, I that was very confusing to me. I don't know how somebody messed up that badly.
Because, like, a sizing error, okay, fine. There's multiple reasons why that could happen. Whether I measured myself incorrectly, accidentally used inches instead of centimeters on the size chart, or maybe the fabric got cut weird, so it got cut smaller when it was supposed to be larger, because that never fucking happens. But the bottoms for Lucy, from Cyberpunk specifically, there were these white booty shorts, and then, because her stockings have, like, weird cutouts in them, they were, like, leggings attached to the waistband of the shorts. But one of the legs was sewn to the wrong side, so in order to have the pants on the outside of the leggings, like they were supposed to, it would be inside out, and then vice versa, the other way. So I have to completely take them apart. But also, I did buy that costume knowing I was going to have to remake the pants because I didn't like how they looked. And that is a common occurrence when you're buying costumes, especially for me, where I'm like, I'm buying them for one specific piece because I don't want to make that bit, or I don't want to make that bit. But I will remake that bit, and I will remake that bit.
What I oftentimes do when I'm buying costumes online, because there's such a size discrepancy between my top half versus my bottom half, because I have, as my grandma so lovingly used to put it, birthing hips.
Them birthing hips.
I got them birthing hips.
I also got them birthing hips.
And so I will oftentimes size for my shoulders if the pants are easy enough to make.
Yep.
If the top isn't super, like, difficult, I'll size to my pants. But most cosplay pants really suck.
They suck so bad.
They're so...
If you have any kind of thigh or any kind of height on you, buy the costume for the top bit. And just buy your own pants. Especially if it's something like a suit. Buy fucking slacks at the thrift store or something for like $15, and those will last you your entire cosplay career. I've had the same pants for almost 10 years, and I only now have to get new ones. Because a good pair of slacks is the most versatile part of cosplay, especially if you cosplay a lot of dudes. But even a lot of women wear a lot of slacks, which is really nice.
That's why it's like a thing that every cosplayer should have in their wardrobe is like a white button-up shirt, a
long
back
sleeve
flare,
and short sleeve.
Yeah, long sleeve and short sleeve, a black pair of pants, a black tie, a blue tie,
a red tie, and a blazer.
Yeah, and a blazer.
And maybe a trench coat.
Yeah.
You could do a lot with just that.
Oh my god, you can cosplay so many characters with just that.
Constantine, Castiel, fucking half of the Bungo Stray Dogs characters.
Also, like, a couple Jujutsu Kaisen characters. What's the one with, Makima, she's Chainsaw Man. You can cosplay, like, literally every Chainsaw Man character. So, like, those are the things to have in your cosplay closet.
And it's also just really fun. It is really easy to find that stuff, like,
at a
thrift store.
I find with a lot of Halloween costumes, I go to a thrift store for a lot of things first. A
thrift store is always my first stop. Because me and my partner are doing Hunter and Willow from the Owl House for KomoriCon on the Sunday. And I haven't seen the Owl House. I'm going to eventually. I know. I'm gonna get to it. And
I also haven't seen it. It's okay.
We're gonna get roasted for not having watched it.
Yep.
But I'm gonna be Hunter, and we're doing specifically like the more casual fits, where he has like this yellow sweater and these jeans with a couple patches on them. And so she went out to the thrift store a couple weeks ago and picked up the perfect sweater that I think I just have to add a pocket to.
Nice.
If that fits
Nice.
perfectly and everything, it's delightful. But do you have any more to say about the costume part of the costume before we move on to like the other aspects?
No, I think we've
All right.
covered a couple good sites.
Do we want to talk about the joy of buying a wig when you haven't bought a wig before?
Ooh, yes. This is a good one, because I've definitely bought early on in cosplay. I've bought some absolute doozies of wigs.
Girl, I can top you though, I'm sure. The fact that I don't even just say it, you know?
That absolute incredible usage of words. Your face is all red. Mine probably too.
Because the very first wig that I bought myself for a costume, it was the ripe year of our Lord and Savior 2012, 2013. I was 12, and I was cosplaying Ponyo from the Studio Ghibli film Ponyo. And as a 12-year-old, I had no money, so I was at the mercy of what I could find very, very cheap and very, very fast. Because this is also before, like, cosplay shops were a thing online. Mm-hmm.
I think eBay was the only place you could get wigs at that time, because I think I bought a wig around then.
Mm-hmm. And my parents didn't trust eBay.
Fair enough.
So I was never allowed to buy anything on eBay. I'm honestly still scared to buy things on eBay. And I am 24. And I just happened to walk into a dollar store, and I saw that they had some wigs for sale.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
I don't think I need to tell you the rest of the story for you to know how it goes, other than the fact that it was the most wiry, shiny, plasticky, stretchy thing ever.
Stretchy?
Well, because it was like the really cheap plastic.
Yeah.
So you'd brush it, and your short wig would turn into a long-haired wig.
Yeah.
Because it was stretching out all the fibers. But here's so we have some tips on how to find decent wigs in store, because Spirit Halloween does have some bangers if you know how to find them.
It is true. I would not suggest wigs from Party City. I would not suggest wigs from, like, Value Village, because I know Value Village has some wigs. But I do think that you can find nice wigs at Party City, but you have to know what you're looking for.
And we're here to tell you.
So, a big thing to look for is if it doesn't look that good on the model, in the picture on the front, you don't even need to turn it around to know it's not going to look good on you. Mm-hmm.
So that's oftentimes the specifically themed wigs.
Yep.
So, like, your old man wigs, your 1970s party wig, your 1950 greaser wig,
your Beetlejuice wig, because they have that one of them, and it was, I saw it at the thing, and I was like, that's a choice. That one right there is a choice. Your more generic wigs, like the blonde bob.
Or the black bob.
Yeah.
Or the brown bob.
Or like the long blonde wig with bangs. That might also work. Party City also, not Party City, Spirit of Halloween also now has a specific set of wigs that are heat resistant.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
They are Kanekalon, and they are heat resistant up to like 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So, those ones, 100% get those wigs. They are like $50 Canadian, but they are, if you are in a pinch, actually some of them are they're like $35 to $50. They don't have lace fronts, but they are heat resistant wigs. They are going to be like comparable to a wig you're going to find on Amazon. They're like actually pretty good. And I have seen them, and they come in like a variety of colors. Like Cole got a bright orange one to do like a pumpkin, like a humanized pumpkin, and that one was really nice. And then, so if you see, so moving into the other wigs that aren't the heat safe ones, look on the label, and it'll tell you which ones are the heat safe ones and which ones aren't. The heat safe ones, I say go for it. The non-heat safe ones, that's where you're going to flip the wig over to the back side, and that's where you're going to look at the actual wig.
These ones are also often in those cheap plastic PVC bags, and you can tell a lot without opening the bag.
You don't even need to touch it.
Please don't open the bags on these wigs for hygiene reasons. Do not. Yeah. It's not worth it to pull it out and have a look. Everything you need to know about the wig, you can tell through the PVC.
Yeah.
So if it's super, super shiny,
don't do it. Unless you know how to take out shine from a wig, don't do it.
And you can use things like baby powders to lessen it. Like if you don't
dry shampoo too.
Shininess really isn't the biggest deal in the world, but the wiry the wig hair looks, the worse it's gonna look on your head.
Yeah.
Because the harder it's going to be to style.
Yeah.
You're gonna put that on your head, and how it looks is how it's gonna stay.
I find that with the wigs from Spirit Halloween, the ones that do not have a defined part and have bangs are usually the better looking wigs. They're going to look better on your head.
But I have had some success with wigs with like certain like specific parts, with like changing where the part is sometimes. If you tease the root of the hair where you're going to be changing the part and giving it a bit more volume, so it hides the fact that you're moving a weft where it's supposed to be covering some of the wig cap underneath.
Yeah.
My old Caleb wig was one of those wigs, as well as my Levi Ackerman wig that I had for a long time. That was also a cheap $10 Party City wig, and it looked fucking fine enough. Wasn't very shiny.
I find black wigs are your easiest bet for a cheaper wig, because I find that they kind of look the best.
It's harder to tell when they're lower quality because it just gets lost in the fact that it's so dark, especially on camera.
Yeah.
In person, it's a little easier to tell, but on camera at least, you can't really.
Unless you're using like really intense lighting. Yeah.
And if you want something that's still cheaper but looks a bit nicer, Amazon is a really great place to go. That's still where I get 90% of my wigs for cosplay.
A lot of the place that I actually get a lot of my specific character wigs is a shop on AliExpress called Dream Wigs, and like 90% of my Genshin wigs are all from there. They are lovely, and they have a very wide range of specific character wigs. They don't have a lot of like random wigs. They are very much a custom like character wig shop, but I 100%.
Yeah, and you can definitely find themed kind of sort of pre-styled wigs on the cosplay sites we mentioned before.
Yep.
And also on Amazon. That's where I've gotten like my Jean wig for Genshin Impact.
The Kaya wig you have is from Amazon.
The Kaya wig that I have apparently is from Amazon.
It was mine that I gave it.
My Starlight wig's from Amazon. Fucking throw a dart and you'll probably hit a wig on Amazon that I have for a character. My Misa Amane is a $20 Map of Beauty wig.
Yep.
Map of Beauty is like the lowest rung you can get on Amazon, like in terms of price, that it also still look okay.
Another, instead of looking up specific cosplay wigs, you can look up Lolita wigs, and the quality and the color of Lolita wigs are supposed to kind of like mimic human hair a little bit more. So if you want something that looks a little more natural and less like a stereotypical cosplay wig, if you're like doing a character that isn't like necessarily a specific character, or you're doing like, or you want a little bit more of like a variation in color, Lolita wigs are also, some of them, cheap enough and nice, and you can find those on Amazon as well.
And if you want to go a little fancier, it's also not that hard to find decent lace front wigs at decent costs on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few of them that were pretty nice that I used for while I was in school for my makeup degree for various projects, which the one I got was like $50, which is like unheard of for a lace front wig.
Yeah.
Those usually cost closer to $100.
I've gotten a really nice $25 lace front wig. Like my Levi wig was like $25, and it's a lace front. And it has like 3 combs on the inside of it. That was also like several years ago, but like that's still like only like I think a $35 lace front.
Yeah. And if you're wanting to go for like one of the cheaper wigs, and you still want it to look realistic, try and get wigs with bangs if you don't want to do a lace front, because especially with like the Spirit Halloween wigs, the hard fronts are sewn together really oddly.
Yeah, and it just looks real bad, and it'll give you giant forehead.
Sometimes they look fine, but like how the actual hair is sewn into the front of the wig cap can almost look weird and like bumpy and puckered.
Yep.
Somehow. I had that problem with my Levi wig, but once I changed where the part was, it kind of lessened it a little bit. It's like just in that one spot directly in the front. So that's also something to take in consideration, because it doesn't not matter if you have a lace front or a hard front for a character with bangs.
Yeah.
Or even like the really long side swept bangs, like fucking Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have anything else to say on the wigs? And that is the sound of Alycas losing their soda over the edge of my desk.
In my defense, it was almost completely empty, so it's
Was
fine.
it at least closed?
Yes, it was closed.
Good.
Yes. There we go. Yeah, that's probably my biggest tips for purchasing a Halloween wig these days. And there's still enough time to get wigs on Amazon.
Absolutely there is.
Yeah.
And you can also color your wigs, too. I forgot to mention that. The wigs,
If they're heat resistant.
If they're heat resistant. But
You can use acrylic on your wigs. Actually, I've seen people do it.
Also, alcohol ink.
Yeah,
So if you have alcohol-based markers at home, you can go in. It takes a while, but you can color your wigs that way. I've done it before. It made a bit of a mess, but it does work really well. Because that's how I did my Harley Quinn wig way back in the olden days.
Yeah. I just kind of forget you can use the alcohol markers, but I've also seen it takes so long, and alcohol markers can kind of be expensive sometimes. But in a pinch, you can also, on a cheap wig, if you go in and darken the roots a little bit with an alcohol marker or eyeshadow, because I did that before. I colored a wig for...
Just be careful of going out in the rain if you do that.
Yeah. You can darken the wigs with eyeshadow and make them look a little bit more natural. And then if it's a little shiny, you could hit it with some dry shampoo or some baby powder, take down the shine, make it have a little bit more natural looking roots, and that'll take a really cheap wig and really elevate it into something nice.
Yeah. But leaving the wigs section of this episode and moving into probably the easiest thing you can get at Spirit Halloween online or whatever, really decent prices, are the props.
Yes.
I love a good Spirit Halloween shopping spree for the props.
Oh yes, I actually like so many of my props and things like that, like the hats, the weapons, the props, those kinds of things, bow, wings, jewelry, like ears, tails, things like that. I get a lot of that actually at Spirit Halloween. I'll save up gloves.
Yeah, you pretty much can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And if you don't, because a problem I have with a lot of props you can get at costume sites and stores like Spirit Halloween is that they look too cartoony for my taste, and you can repaint them.
Yep. You can, the dollar store this year, actually had some really great props if you just repainted them. Like, I was looking at some of the dagger sets that they had and stuff, and I was like, these are really nice. I could use them for...
Even the kids' stores.
Yeah. The kids' toys.
The kids' stores. The kids' toys in, the dollar store sections and stuff have some pretty good stuff you can use.
My guns for Black Widow actually used to be these obnoxious, bright-colored... They were neon orange and yellow guns, but they did the cock sound when you pulled it back, and they were accurately sized to a 9mm. Actually, no, it was more sized to a 45. Don't ask me why I know that. And like the sizing on all of it was really good, and so I just repainted the gun, and then I left the tip orange so that way I could, so people wouldn't be freaked out thinking I had an actual gun.
Yeah, if you repaint props, weapons like guns, make sure you keep the yellow and the toy guns.
Otherwise, if you go out in public, somebody could call the police saying someone's got a gun, and you could end up dead or imprisoned.
The police will show up thinking that they're up against someone armed and dangerous.
Yeah. So,
because that has happened before, where cosplayers and people on Halloween have sustained serious injuries because they did not know.
A couple years ago, a cosplayer was actually shot because of his prop sword and died.
Yep.
So please be safe with your props. Like that, with all things, be safe. But specifically with prop weapons, you need to make sure that it is visibly still a prop.
Yeah, especially because, like, in a Halloween party, in a convention, people around you know that what you have probably is going to be fake, no matter how realistic it looks.
Walking down the street, though.
Walking down the street, going to and from whatever event you're going to, people aren't necessarily going to know.
Yeah.
Like, there have been times where I've gone out on my way to a thing, and I have, like, this crazy makeup where it was, like, really intense injury, and people are asking, like, are you okay? Like, do I need to call an ambulance for you?
Yeah.
And you have to explain that, like, no, like, it's fake. Don't worry, I'm not hurt. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when people see weaponry, they won't ask first. They'll just call the cops.
If you are going out, one thing that a friend of mine did, they were doing a Chainsaw Man shoot on the SkyTrain, and they were doing, like, the fake gunshot and the blood, and so on the back of their costume, they had a piece of paper taped to their coat that said, fake blood, props, photo shoot in progress, basically, so that way people knew that they didn't need to immediately call the police.
Well, Alycas and I were planning on doing a CMV a while ago, involving a gunshot wound to the head.
Yep.
And I was going to jerry rig some type of squib so we could actually get, like, the actual shot. And I had planned, if we were actually to do that shoot, the plans kind of fell through a little bit.
Well, the manga continued, and I realized that it wasn't going to work out the way that I wanted it to for the CMV. So
canon is canon. But anyway,
fair enough.
We had full intention to call the local police precinct, being like, hey, just so you know, we're going to be at this location. This is what we're going to be doing. If you get calls about this, like, please be aware that please don't come shoot us.
Yeah.
We're just nerds.
Yeah.
Because you can't have signs up, but not everyone's going to read them, because people are going to see the gun, they're going to see the blood, and they're going to panic.
Yeah.
But not that you're going to really have to worry about any of that if you're going to, like, a standard Halloween party.
Yeah, for Halloween, it's more likely people are going to think it's a prop versus not a prop, but you still want to be safe. So if you are going to paint your prop guns, leave the tip orange or yellow or whatever color. Orange is the best one because it's very bright.
If you're going to paint your swords chrome, have a sheath.
Yep.
Of some sort. Or
even if it's a sock that you put that sword in, like a tall sock or something, you just don't want to scare people, because the last thing you want to be in is handcuffs in the evening, unless that's what you're into.
Everyone has seen those pictures from Comic-Con of cosplayers getting arrested. You don't want that to be you.
No.
Do you have anything else to say on props before we get into my bread and butter?
No, I think it's good for props.
Alright, time to get into my bread and butter. So before we get into makeup and special effects aspect of Halloweening as a Norby with cosplay insight, I am a licensed makeup artist and special effects artist. I went to school for this. I know how to cast and mold all of your prosthetic needs, and I know how to safely remove things. Therefore, I'm not necessarily talking directly out of my ass.
Yes.
The first things first, because I always see shit like this online and all this. Don't glue anything to your face without knowing you have the correct removers to remove it.
Yes.
So many times I see people throwing on various adhesives, being like, this is sticky, it'll work, and then their makeup remover doesn't work because they used Prozaid.
Yep.
Which needs very specific removers to remove without taking your skin with it. Spirit gum, even. Sometimes you can get away with just washing spirit gum off, depending on how strong it is, because the darker the spirit gum, the stronger it's going to be. So keep that in mind when you're buying spirit gum for your Halloween costumes, because oftentimes the spirit gum they have in Spirit Halloween is a really pale yellow, and that's not going to stick as good as the stuff that's a dark brown.
Yeah.
You basically want to go with the reverse urine effect.
Yeah.
Where the darker the better, the paler the worse.
Yeah, because the that stuff from that you can find at Spirit Halloween
does not work.
Well, it does, but it comes off without the adhesive because that's what Jonathan uses to stick on the one fake beard prop that I made. But it does slip off.
Well, and people also don't realize a lot of time you have to tap to activate your spirit gum. You don't just put it on your face, slap whatever you're sticking on it, and call it a day because it's going to slowly come off. You need to actually tap it with your finger or a brush or some sort of other apparatus you can use to tap the glue if you don't want it on your fingers. To activate it, tap it until it's stringy, and then apply whatever you're wanting to glue to your face or arm or leg or wherever you're gluing stuff down. Body paint.
Ooh, body paint.
Body paint. Body paint, body paint. I love body paint so much. It is so fun to done silly little colors.
Yeah, I've done several cosplays where I've done crazy body paint colors because I did Beast Boy a couple times, and so that one's fun. Although my skin likes to hold on to the color green, and it stains me.
Yeah. So before Halloween night, or the night of your party, or what have you, do a patch test of your body paints to make sure that they won't stain you.
I like to do a patch test on the inside of my wrist because that's really sensitive skin.
Yep, so if you have any allergies as well, that's where you're going to know. Because you don't want a rash all over your face because there was one random ingredient that you didn't know was in it that gives you a reaction.
Yep.
However, if it does stain you, I have had success getting staining off with shaving cream. So if you did not do a patch test, or you did and it didn't stain your arm but it did stain your face, try shaving cream. I've heard that gets it off a lot. Other than that, you're just going to have to wait a couple days. It will come off because, your skin is constantly shedding.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting. I hate it.
Your entire body sheds its skin every 3 days.
And it never stops. It's always going.
Fun fact about the human body, your entire body remakes itself every 7 years. So every cell in your body has been replaced in its entirely every 7 years. That's why your taste buds change every 7 years.
Delicious.
A little fun fact for you guys, sorry.
Delicious, literally. Yes. Irish Spring soap also can help with staining. That's how I get blood stains out of my makeup brushes. Which tells me that it's not safe for skin.
Yeah.
But it gets stains out of my makeup brushes like no tomorrow. And it's a little discovery I made while I was in school because the school was across from a Dollarama.
It got green that had been stained onto my makeup brush for 3 years out. Which I would never use that on my skin. After that, I was like, hell no. This will destroy my face.
Hey, Cass, I got a question for you.
What's up?
When I'm picking body paint, does it matter if I go with grease paint or water-based?
Yes, it does.
Why is that?
Because a grease paint is going to break out. Is going to make your skin break out incredibly. It is never going to dry, and it's going to smudge the minute somebody breathes near you.
But water-based paint won't do that?
Not really, only if you sweat profusely, and even then, you can pat that down with powder.
Yeah. You can.
It's also really easy to reapply with water paint.
You can use powders on grease paints, and it will prevent some smudging, but you still will get it everywhere, especially if you're going to a party and you're dancing and you're sweating. That shit's going to come off immediately. You're going to melt faster than the ice caps.
Yep.
If you go out with grease paint. Especially if...
It'll also not look good. I have never seen grease paint
right
look
on the
good.
Face.
No.
Never.
It looks like you've just put your face... You know what? Mrs. Doubtfire. When she puts her head, like, in the pie, that is the immediate thing I think of when I think of grease body paint.
Yeah. And especially with, like, the packs of it you can find at Spirit Halloween. 99% of body paints you get Spirit Halloween is going to be grease paint.
Yep.
And those grease paints don't have a lid.
Yep.
They come in a little plastic tray, and they have no lid. So you're buying makeup for one-time use.
Yep.
Which just isn't...
Not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. It's not good for the environment. It's not cost-effective either. However, a big puck of Kryolan body paint, watercolor, aquacolor, not watercolor, aquacolor, a big puck of it is gonna run you $25 to $40 and will last you for fucking ever.
In a pinch, at Michael's, there is the Snazaroo. That stuff is a water-based paint. I have used it before because I've gone pink for a couple tiefling characters. That one will work. Another thing you can use in an absolute pinch and does work is taking your foundation color and putting, depending on what shade you use, you can put the shavings of your eyeshadow into the your foundation and apply it that way.
You can also mix a little bit of grease paint with your foundation.
Yeah.
And it'll sit more like foundation than grease paint.
Yeah.
That's something I do a lot when I just need a subtle color difference in my skin. It's also just...
So if you're going there for, like, the ashy vampire look.
Yeah, it's also just a bit better for your skin, too, than body paint, mixing something in with your foundation. Because foundation is meant to be worn more frequently on the skin than body paint is. Because even though water-based paint is the best for your skin out of all body paints, it's still not the best. And it also leaves an odd texture on your skin because it sits on top of it and not in it like foundation does. And it can make your skin feel almost plasticky. It
makes my skin feel tight.
Yeah.
When I have face paint
It's almost like you're wearing a thin face mask.
Yeah. So it makes smiling and emoting like an interesting experience.
Yeah. Like it doesn't like necessarily crack or anything unless you like really slather it on.
If you put too much on,
but it feels like you're gonna like bust out of it like an egg.
Well, that's why you want to get like the really good quality face paint, because then you don't need to put as much on and then it doesn't feel as heavy on top of your skin, because the Snazaroo, you can use it in a pinch, but that shit feels heavy on your face.
Yeah, it definitely can.
It's also so expensive. And it's like you could easily just get something on Amazon that's either the same price or cheaper and better for your skin. So.
Something I also like to do with my water-based paints is if I can't find an exact shade, I will take a chunk out of this color and a chunk out of that color, water them down to like dissolve them into just like a liquid, and then let that dry, and it'll create a new cake. Of a new color. I did that for a Mystique costume once because the blues were either too white or too blue, and I wanted more of a mid-tone, so I took half of a blue pan and half of a white pan and mixed them together. And
That's probably what I'm going to do when I eventually cosplay Mystique.
I still have it. You could. I'm probably not going to use it because it was just for one project. But anyways, I digress. And also, when you're using water-based paints, it's important that, unlike foundation, you can't swipe or end stipple to apply, especially if you're doing multiple layers, because just like when you're using a watercolor paint, you can actually pick up some of the pigment underneath. So it's important that you stipple the color on versus swipe it on your skin. Because if you swipe it on your skin, you can have a nice first layer, go in with a second layer because of maybe coverage in some of the areas isn't the best, or the color dried slightly off, so you're lightening it a little bit. You can, if you swipe it, you can get your actual skin color through it.
Also, eye safety with your paints around your eyeballs. Do not go directly up to your waterline with face paint, or
in the waterline.
Oh my god, don't do that. Or like you can go and don't go too close to your inner eye and like completely over your eyelid or things like that.
Yeah.
That's where your eyeshadow comes into play. You also need to properly prep your skin before just slapping face paint on, or it's gonna it's not going to do as well.
You can.
And it's also not going to adhere to your skin as well.
Yeah, because you can. What I like to do with my body paint to make sure it sticks a long time is I'll take a setting spray after my moisturizer and all my skin care, spray that on my face, then apply my makeup, and then spray again and powder. And that will last me through an entire con day.
I think what I did when I did Jester, which lasted me like so many hours, was I did like moisturizer, like skincare, and then I did my cream, like thick pore filling in primer, and then I did a spray on, and then I put on the face paint. And then before I powdered or anything like that, I sprayed again. Then I powdered, did the contour, and finished my face, and then I sprayed again. And that stuff stayed. The only thing that came off was my lipstick.
Yeah, and it's really normal for the body paint to lift up around the mouth and around like the hairline where your wig sits and where you're eating, because that's just where the natural wear is. A lot like, and the same goes for normal makeup. You just can't always tell because it's the same color as your skin. So sometimes I'll like to bring a small brush and then the cake of body paint with me if I care. Sometimes I don't care. It's not that big of a deal for me. Next, we're moving on to fangs. Because I see people make this mistake all the time. And you actually suggested to someone to make this mistake.
I had heard it worked, and I actually didn't know. Like, I'd heard somebody had just said it at one point, and I actually didn't know that you're not supposed to do this, so...
Yeah. How do you attach fangs to your teeth? There are multiple different ways you could do that. The most popular...
Super glue. I'm joking.
No.
Please, I'm joking. I am joking. Never super glue anything to your body.
The most common is going to be thermoplastic beads, which are these little white beads. Often they come with your teeth, but you can buy them separately. You can also make the teeth entirely out of these beads.
I've done that.
Where you warm up a little bit of water, can be in a microwave, drop these beads in, and they'll become clear. Fish them out, and you can mold them around your teeth, and they'll functionally make little, like, clip-on fake teeth.
Yeah. Because if you bite down and mold it specifically to your teeth, then they're not going to fall out.
They're not going nowhere. Do not eat with these teeth in.
Yeah.
That goes for however you may apply them. But
I don't even drink when I take the teeth out to get a drink. Unless it's like water.
Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But especially if I'm eating something, I will always take it out.
Because you could swallow them. They could come out and you can swallow them.
Yes.
It also makes biting into things very difficult, so...
And also just really weird.
Yeah, it feels weird to try to chew something when you have the teeth in your mouth. Like, it's... Because I one time was like, I wonder what this feels like. Tried to eat a French fry and was like, this is actually the worst thing I've ever decided to do. And immediately stopped.
But the big no-no I mentioned a minute ago is I've seen people use denture glue to glue their fangs in place.
That was the suggestion that I had made and didn't realize was a bad one.
Because denture glue is made to adhere dentures to the gums, not teeth to teeth. And teeth naturally are a little more porous than gums. Therefore, they will hold that glue till the fucking cows come home.
Yeah.
To the point where you will need to see an emergency dentist to get them off. And that shit's expensive.
Yes.
In America and in Canada because we don't have dental care. So if you value your teeth, if you value your pocketbook, dear God, go without fangs if the only option is denture glue.
Yeah.
Similar kind of ideal with contact lenses.
Oh, please, for the love of God, do not get your contact lenses on fucking Amazon or any online site that isn't like a reputable.
I have seen some corner stores sell fashion lenses.
Oh my God.
The dollar store near my parents' house sells fashion lenses.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I saw somebody like that I know who was wearing contact lenses that they got off of AliExpress for $1.50. And they're like, yeah, but the color's so bright. And I was like, no.
Only when you're blind.
Your eyeballs are extremely fragile. Extremely fragile, okay? There are like 3, maybe 4 sites that I trust to buy contact lenses off of. And that is it.
Yeah. I like to buy them through Primal, which is the contact company that West Coast Fibertech has out in Burnaby.
They are expensive. They're 3-month contacts, but they're really colorful.
They are the contacts that they use in the movies.
They're really bright. They're really nice.
They are very nice.
If you want to buy contacts online,
Pinky Paradise.
Unique So I find aren't as comfortable as Pinky Paradise. Pinky Paradise doesn't have as large of a selection, but they are a very reputable brand. They're actually the brand that K-pop idols use because it is a Korean brand. Unique So has a very large variety, but I find that they're not as comfortable. It's Momo Queen? I think that's what it's called.
I have no idea. I haven't heard that one.
That one is also apparently I've heard is really good. And then there was one more. I think it's a kitty in the name or something.
Pudding lenses?
Yeah.
That's another decent one.
And then the contact lens company that I worked with was also a good one. I liked them. They didn't have like a huge selection, but they were really comfortable lenses. While
Alycas is trying to find the information on that last contact lens company, it's very important that you don't get your contacts in the mail and then immediately put them in your eyes from the packaging, because the solution that they have those contacts in are just for shipping purposes.
Yes.
You need to let your contacts soak for a minimum of 8 hours before you put them in your eyes in new contact solution. I personally like to go for 24 hours, but the minimum recommended is 8 hours.
Lenstown Lenstown US. I have actually worked with I have actually worked with that lens company, and so I will say they did give me these lenses for free. I didn't buy them. I do have a coupon code for them.
What is your coupon code?
My coupon code is ALYCAS15, I think. So it's ALYCAS, the number 15. And that you get like 15% off your purchase, I believe. Those lenses were actually very comfortable. They weren't like super pigmented, they weren't like super bright, and there isn't a huge selection.
It's been a while since you did that, so they might have more now.
And they're so comfortable and they're really easy to put in. Same thing with Pinky Paradise. I swear by Pinky Paradise, though. They're my favorite because they are the most comfortable contacts I've ever worn.
Yeah, I don't use contacts a whole lot, but typically I'll get them through Primal.
Yeah.
I have wanted to get a few from Pinky Paradise. It's just they are a cost that I don't see is always beneficial.
You don't really need contact lenses because you can edit your photos to give your eye color literally any color you need. And
it's definitely fun to have them for sure, but they aren't like if I don't have these contacts, my costume will suck. No, that's not how that works, babes.
Because the thing about your eyeballs is you only get one pair. They are incredibly easy to damage. And contacts are a medical device. It's like you wouldn't get an implant from Joe Blow down the corner, all right?
Maybe I would. You don't know me.
Well, you know what? Fair enough. But they are your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are very, very delicate, and you need to be very careful about getting contacts. You need to see a doctor or an eye doctor and ask them if your eyes are even compatible with contacts before you even think about wearing contacts.
Because a big part of contacts is how your eye is shaped.
Yep.
And sometimes people have eyes that are shaped in a way that makes it so they can't really wear contacts.
Or you might not even realize you have like a lazy eye or your eye astigmatism. You can't wear contacts if you have those things. And so, like, years before I even decided to get contacts, I went and saw an eye doctor. And I was like, hey, can I get contacts? Is there anything that I need to know about my eyes? And he was like, he looked over my eyes, he saw them, he was like, no, you're good. But he was like, please, for the love of God, buy them from a reputable place. If the contacts company does not have FDA approved, and then for Korean brands, there's another type of like FDA.
Also,
thing.
if they don't let you select your prescription, that's a red flag.
Immediate red flag. If they do not say they are FDA approved, do not buy them. Straight up, do not buy them. That means they are not regulated, and they could have literally anything inside of that contact. It is very easy to ruin your eyes.
That's also why I say that you can't take your contacts from packaging and put them directly in your eye, because that solution comes from a factory. And a lot of little critters sometimes find their way in factories without the workers even necessarily knowing. Right? And you also don't know how long that those contacts have been in that solution. You don't know how old that solution is before you even made it into the package.
Because a lot of contacts, when they are packaged, are good for 2 to 5 years.
Yep.
And you don't know when you get those contacts how long they've been sitting in that solution. Another thing for contacts, you first time you wear contacts, you're probably only going to be able to handle them for about an hour or two. So do not take your contacts out and plan to wear them for the first time that night of your party or whatever.
And
try them on first.
To add on to safe contact practices, some companies will send you a little plunger with your contacts for easy removal.
Or the little tweezer thing.
I don't feel like I need to say don't stick foreign objects in your fucking eyes.
Yeah, the only thing that should be going in your eyes is like your hand.
And even at that, they really shouldn't be anyways.
Yeah.
But it's...
Always clean your hands and dry them. And a way that I do to make sure I'm not getting eyelashes or little eye floaties or particulates from my hands into my eyes is I use paper towel to dry my hands, and specifically my fingers. And then in between picking up the contact, putting it in my eye, I put solution I take the contact, I put it into the palm of my hand, I take some more contact solution, I put that contact solution onto the contact, then I gently, with the pad of my finger, rub the contact to make sure there is nothing else hiding inside of there. Then I pick it up, I dump out that solution, I put the contact on my eye, and then I put more contact solution into the contact, and I check to make sure that there's still nothing inside of that contact.
And also to make sure that it's not inside out.
Yes.
Or ripped.
So when you hold up your contact, if the edge is completely flat or beveled outwards, then it is inside out. Your contact, when it is right side... It should look like
a perfect dome.
Yeah. It shouldn't be warbly. It shouldn't be warped. It should look like a perfect dome before it goes onto your eye. Another very, very important thing about contact safety, do not sleep with your contacts on.
Yeah.
Even a 30-minute nap, you should not be closing your eyes for an extended period of time.
Because there have been instances of cosplayers, and even
people with just like seeing contacts.
And even a televised incident of a cosplayer falling asleep with their contacts in, and they needed to go to the hospital because while they slept, the contact went from the front of their eye to behind their eye and made them temporarily blind until they could get it out.
Yeah. Speaking about contact companies you should not buy from, TTDI is a company you should never buy contacts from. Their contacts have been known to scratch corneas, or when removing the contact, a girl pulled her cornea out. Yes.
How fucking... I don't even know how that's possible.
The contact, like, stuck to her eyeball, and she couldn't take it off. And then when she finally pulled the contact out, it partially dislodged her cornea.
That's when you go to the hospital.
Yeah. So please do not buy from TTDI. For the love of God.
Yeah, if you're having problems taking your contact out, seek a medical professional.
Yep.
Don't try and brute force it and take it out.
Yep.
Or even a friend who's experienced with contacts can sometimes take it out. But if you are scared that you will lose your sight, seek a medical professional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been times where my mom has tried contacts, because she also does cosplay. And she tried contacts for the first time, and she was panicking because she couldn't get a grip of the contact with her fingers, so she had me take it out for her as someone who is more experienced with them.
Yeah. And never pinch your contact with your nails. When you're removing your contact, always use the pads of your finger.
Yeah, that is how you not only damaged your contact, but can damage your eyeball.
And if you have long nails, I saw a way that a girl would take out her contacts, and she used
her knuckles
to take out the contact because it's still soft skin. It just takes a little bit more of, like, you're shoving more into your eye.
It takes a bit more finesse, that's for sure.
There's a little bit more finesse, but it can be done. But just, your eyes are very important, and I cannot stress enough to you how safety is so important.
Yeah. And the last thing, at least on my notes, I don't know about you, in the makeup section of your local Spirit Halloween or other pop-up costume shop, you may find plastic prosthetics with these hard, thick plastic edges. If you stick those to your skin, with all of my training and practice and self-taughtedness, have never been able to get those to work. Ever. Not once. They always peel up because they're so rigid. They just don't take the form of your body well.
Yep.
If you really want to have some type of prosthetic on, if you really want to have some sort of prosthetic on or anything like that, find a shop that has actual prosthetics, either foam, latex, or gelatin. Gelatin does have a tendency to melt in heat, so if you're going to, like, a party or a rave or something like that, gelatin might not be the best way to go because you can sweat it off. You can also find prosthetics on Etsy sometimes, but make sure, again, going back to adhesives, that you do your research on how to use adhesives correctly, safely, and properly. Because you can do some serious damage because you want to have a cool scar on your face because you're wanting to cosplay this character with these cool facial scars. I've seen it happen, and it's not pretty ever. There was something else on prosthetics I want to try.
I mean, for me with prosthetics is always check the ingredients, because, like, I'm allergic to latex, and a lot of prosthetics that you're going to find at stores, if they aren't plastic, are going to be latex, so check your labels.
Although, even if you are allergic to latex, there are ways you can still use foam latex, because foam latex prosthetics don't use the same type of latex you find in a lot of common household items that give you a reaction. So some people have found with latex allergies that the latex used in those prosthetics don't have that one ingredient that causes a reaction. You can also seal your latex pieces so that none of the latex actually touches your face.
Like some latex elf ears I can actually wear, even though I am allergic to latex. So it was a lot of trial and error finding something that kind of, like, worked. But if you are concerned about the allergy, test it on a safer place on your skin.
Or just don't risk it.
Yep.
You know,
there's a lot of times I just don't risk it.
Yeah, Halloween is a time meant to have fun, not put yourself in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it to rip your skin off or give yourself a serious reaction because you can't get something you're allergic to off of your skin because you used the wrong adhesive.
There's a lot of opportunities to put yourself in a hospital for other reasons other than your costume on Halloween. So,
Exactly.
if you can mitigate any kind of damage you could possibly doing to your body, do so.
Exactly. Is there anything else that you have to say on that?
I suppose the last, safety thing related to costumes is, don't get hyperthermia. Layer your costumes correctly for Halloween. We live in a place where it's cold during Halloween, but I know that, places in, Arizona, in Phoenix, they've recently just dipped below, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So take into consideration the weather that you're going to be wearing your costume in. If you're wearing a skimpy little costume and it's going to be, 2 degrees Celsius, wear thermal tights and bring a jacket.
Oh, also, another thing to add on to adhesives. Spirit gum dissolves with alcohol. So keep that in mind if you're going to go out drinking. You have something glued to your face using something like spirit gum, or if you have liquid latex on your face, that also gets dissolved by alcohol, because, of course, when you drink alcohol, you sweat it out.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you drink, the more you will lose of your Halloween look.
Mm-hmm.
I had an instructor one time in my cosmetics course who would tell me about how they'd have actors come in who went out partying the night before, and they couldn't put on their makeup because they were still sweating out the alcohol because they were out so late partying.
That's very interesting.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep, because alcohol will dissolve it.
Yeah.
So there's no point in doing makeup on someone who's sweating out the remover.
That's very interesting. I knew that alcohol dissolved it, but I never thought about how, you sweat it out later and would dissolve it. That was not even something I would have even thought about.
So, keep note, alcoholics, that latex is not necessarily,
It's not an option for your spooky makeup.
not the method that you probably want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's all we have today on cosplaying with the insight of a cosplayer's knowledge, or Halloween on the insight of a cosplayer's knowledge, or whatever this episode title ends up being called. Probably something super wordy, because I'm horrible at shortening names of episodes and panel titles and shit.
The title I'd put on my thing was A Cosplayer's Guide to Cosplay Halloween Edition. So also wordy as fuck.
We are the new Fall Out Boy.
Literally! And as a humongous Fall Out Boy fan, that definitely tracks.
Yeah, so once again, we will be at KimoriCon in a couple of weeks, November 8th, 9th, and 10th. We have the 2 panels on Friday, one in Friday morning and the other later in the evening, closer to dinner time. Unfortunately, we can't be more specific about times and dates because the schedule isn't out yet and won't be out until after we come back with the next episode. If you have any ideas on episode topics you want to see, guests you want to see on the show, reach out to us either on Instagram at Circast Productions or with our email, dressupdisasters@gmail.com. Once again, that is dressupdisasters@gmail.com. And I hope you have a great day. We are planning a holiday hiatus starting probably December 12th, going into the new year. The calendar here is telling me that it's going to be...
The 8th, right? From the 12th to the 8th of January?
Yes.
Yeah.
So our last episode before the holidays is going to be December 11th.
My birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, our one and only. So we'll see you guys next time, and hopefully we'll see you guys at KimoriCon. If you see us, feel free to come up and say hi.
On the Saturday, I'm going to be dressed as Jester, so if you want to see face paint in real time, I will be blue.
I will also have minor face paint as Yasha on the Saturday.
So,
and we are hoping to do some hall interviews at KimoriCon. So if you're interested in making it into a compilation-style podcast episode, probably in the new year.
/YouTube video.
We'll see how it ends up editing together. Come find us in the con, and you can tell us all about what got you into cosplay, and why you do it
And if you have your own horror stories, please don't come to wow. Okay. If you have your own horror stories, come to the horror stories panel. And at the end of the panel, we do take submissions from the floor.
Just a few, exactly like how you heard, saw, listened with our panel at Anime Revolution in Vancouver. We were very excited to see you guys there. And we'll call it a night. Thank you all for listening. Bye.
Bye.